Airbus A330 and Boeing 767, two hugely popular medium-sized widebodies which were some of the most efficient back in the 1980s. And yet, one widebody would go on to fly for decades to come, while another would go out of production. Why is that so? Well, before we compare these two widebodies, let's have a look at how these twin jets were born back in the day. In the late 70s, following the introduction of Boeing 747, Boeing turned their attention to a smaller aircraft that would serve as a widebody replacement for routes using older inefficient 707s. Boeing eventually developed the aircraft as a small twin widebody that focused on higher fuel efficiency. Airbus was planning a new aircraft as well. They focused on a medium-range twin-engine aircraft built upon the B9 concept. Eventually, the medium-ranged A330 was launched, alongside the larger B11 A340 for long-range routes. However, with the A330 being larger than 767, it is mainly targeted at DC-10 and Lockheed TriStar, leaving Boeing empty in that market. Except for the rather odd 747SP, Boeing would eventually go on to launch their largest widebody twin at the time, the 777. But till the 777 entered service in 1998, these two were the largest twins offered to the market at that time, and are also some of the most versatile widebodies ever, serving military and freighter missions. But which is better? Well, before we start, if you're new here, the Airplane Productions extends a warm welcome, and do stay tuned for more great detailed analysis, epic comparisons, as well as some brand new aviation content on the way. Do also check out the newly introduced Airplane Productions Instagram page, home to more great quick aviation content on the Instagram story page to come. Right, let's kickstart this epic one. Starting with performance, comparing the A330-200 to the closer 767-300ER, it flies 7,250 nautical miles compared to 5,980 for the similarly sized 767. Amazingly, 767 does carry more passengers, with capacity for up to 261 passengers compared to 241 for the A330. The largest 767 carries 296 passengers, while the A330-300 carries 300 passengers. But the A330 flies further with a range of 6,350 nautical miles compared to 5,625. All in all, the larger later 767s do come close to A330 in performance, but the A330 has more distinctive performance, either flying further or carrying passengers. In terms of engines, the A330 is offered with either General Electric CF6, PW4000 or Rolls-Royce Trent 700 engines, with the latest being most popular, the most powerful of which produces up to 71,000 pounds of thrust. The 767 is offered with many engines. The latest versions are powered by PW4000, GE CF6 and Rolls-Royce RB211 engines, the most powerful engine producing 61,500 pounds of thrust. With less weight and less thrust, the 767 should be more fuel efficient when we compare both. Moving on to efficiency, here is one area where the 767 should beat out A330. Looking at the airplane production's chart of efficiency over 3,000 nautical miles sector, which both typically serve, the 767-300ER is overall 8% more fuel efficient per trip than A330-200, with 14% lower seat costs. The larger 767-400 is 5% more efficient per trip than A330-300, though has similar seat costs overall with a 1.4% penalty against A330. So what about the cabins? With its wider cabin, the A330 is able to accommodate 8 abreast seating with incredibly comfortable 18-inch seats. It also has the quietest cabin by far and larger overhead bins. The 767, however, does have bigger windows and features Boeing's signature interior first found on 777. Both feature optional curved cabin sidewalls for a more spacious feel, and both feature 18-inch wide seats. However, the A330 can be fitted with the latest wireless and connectivity services, something 767 cannot. While A330 features the nicer, more modern cabin, both certainly pale to the aircraft cabins of today. In terms of advantages and disadvantages, the 767 is more efficient than A330 and is a lower risk aircraft overall with lower list price and maintenance costs. However, the lower costs do come at the expense of lower capability. It is also a less modern aircraft with older systems and cabin. The biggest downside, however, is limited cargo capability, as its underfloor cargo compartment can hold only 2 LD2 containers, not the larger standard LD3 size side by side. Ironically, the cheaper 767 is a better freighter, as it offers higher payloads to airlines at the cheapest price possible. Still, as a passenger aircraft, the A330 is simply more capable, flying further and carrying more passengers in a more comfortable cabin. Also, the aircraft has maintained its value proposition over the years with constant and new upgrades. However, it is a more expensive aircraft than 767 with higher costs overall. In terms of orders, it is really close between the two, with all variants of 767 receiving 1,271 orders and all CEO A330s receiving 1,045 orders. So then, with all this said, which is the better widebody? In this case, with its higher performance and newer design, the A330 is the more popular widebody that is so good, it still makes a mark in the aviation industry till today, more than 20 years since its first flight. That said, the 767 is still a great aircraft used for many point-to-point routes even till today. Do you agree with this verdict? And if you don't, why so? Do comment. Thanks for watching, and till we meet in next week's video. Wishing everyone a truly clear sky ahead.